Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about Chiron in major adverse aspect to the South Node in the natal horoscope. As most of you know, Chiron is associated with the wounded healer. It represents an area or element in our charts where we often can accentuate or emphasize strongly with others, but we often have difficulty in helping ourselves in this manner. A lot of this, I believe, is attributed to overcompensation, often due to the fact that we're expending so much time and energy helping others in this manner that we often neglect ourselves. Now, Chiron is seen or perceived by most as an asteroid or planetoid. As far as its impact or influence on a horoscope, I see it more like a generational planet. It has a lot more significance by house placement as opposed to the sign it resides in. On average, Chiron traverses a sign for 4 to 5 years as far as the average time goes. And for that reason, I believe the house that it resides in has a lot more weight, but the sign that it is in may flavor the Chiron house placement a little bit anyway. Well, anyway, the first thing I see if somebody has Chiron in major adverse aspect to their South Node is the fact that we know that the South Node is something that we often accentuate strongly in the early part of our lives, and it's something that we seem to fall back on a lot, and Chiron is associated with wounds, and more specifically, or at least more common than anything, I would say emotional wounds. Now, it could indicate that whatever this person was doing in connection with their South Node in their early part of their life, especially up until like around age 30 or so, they may have experienced some emotional wounds. Might be something traumatic may have happened that was connected with their South Node position. It could indicate somebody who's maybe wanting to help others, or as far as healing with the Chiron, may have conflicted with what they were doing in connection with their South Node placement. This could be somebody that a lot of this can depend on the house placements of Chiron and the South Node. Let's say if somebody has the South Node in the 7th house and they have Chiron in the 4th house making a square aspect. Well, a square, if Chiron is is in the 4th house, this could indicate emotional wounds, perhaps connected with the home, family, things with emotional security, perhaps the mother. Now, and if we look at the South Node in the 7th house, sometimes South Node in the 7th house could indicate relationships that was emphasized in the first part of the life, and partnerships. There might have been a strong emphasis on this, and it might have been to this person's detriment, and may have played a role, perhaps maybe in their own home life to some degree, or maybe the emotional wounds that were connected with their home and family life may have been somewhat attributed to the relationships they had. Maybe for example, somebody that had a prospective significant other that maybe the family or at least one family member didn't agree with, and caused emotional wounds connected with the family, for example. Now let's take another aspect. Let's say that somebody has, let's say they have the North Node, the South Node in the 3rd house, and they have Chiron in the 9th house. Well, Chiron in making an opposition aspect. Now, if somebody has Chiron in the 9th, this could be a person that has experienced emotional wounds connected with perhaps travel or higher education, things that are perhaps even in-laws, for example. This could be perhaps some kind of long-distance traveling. We look at the 3rd house, and if the South Node is in the 3rd house, This could indicate that maybe this person had emphasized maybe some communications that were maybe to this person's detriment. It could be bad advice from somebody. It could indicate that maybe that the relationships with maybe brothers and sisters, siblings, if applicable, were this person's detriment. Maybe this person, based on the South Node in the third house, may have taken some bad advice and maybe traveled maybe to places like that maybe were this person's detriment, or took a course in college, for example, that may have been to their detriment, which is indicated by more emotional wounds experienced by the ninth, we could say the Chiron in the ninth house placement, and they might be tied in with each other. Well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for Chiron in major adverse aspect to the South Node in the natal horoscope. Stay tuned next time, where I'll be dissertating and talking about planets in retrograde motion. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because a person astrologically is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.